Forward to get to the gap. With MagMongoSlade. Shoot. He don't miss.
Let's talk about King, Queen of the Ring. I skipped SmackDown, so I guess we'll touch on based on that too. So let's get right into it. There's probably some news and notes, but I'll sprinkle that stuff in. Mostly what we got was a lot of the same people complaining about Saudi Arabia every time they go. There's these people who consistently complain about Saudi Arabia. There's just no point in getting into that again. I did multiple videos on the Saudi stuff. It's just, I'm not the Secretary of State, man. And these wrestlers are there for work. They're not there to be freedom fighters and to fight for anybody's rights or anything like that. They're there to do a job. Let them do their job. So let me get back to doing my job, which is to review wrestling shows. So we're going to do King, Queen of the Ring, but we're going to touch on SmackDown. So on the pre-show, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defeated Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. Well, of course, Bianca Belair lost her Queen of the Ring finals match to Nia Jax. It was actually one of Nia Jax's better matches, too. And it actually showed how amazing Bianca Belair is. She powerbombed Nia Jax during that match and was still limping while she did it. So she didn't forget that she had a bad knee. Now, of course, you would question, like, why was she doing it anyway with a bad knee? But she was still limping as she was carrying Nia Jax. That was really great. So it was a really good psychological match for Bianca, who was mostly athletic a couple of years ago, but now her psychology is starting to catch up. The KOD, she collapsed. She pulled a John Cena. She could carry Nia Jax, but she collapsed, which led to Nia Jax hitting the Annihilator and winning the match, which was great. It was probably the best match Nia Jax has had since she came back. It was really good. Now, this tag team match between Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill versus Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, I didn't care about this at all. It was on the pre-show. A lot of people was mad that Jade Cargill was on the pre-show. They was mad that the women's tag team titles were on the pre-show. I get it. I don't think it would have made a bit of difference if it was on the main show or the pre-show. But the issue is they had already flown Bianca and Jade over there, and they pretty much decided to just use them while they were there. I think they used everybody that they flew over there with the exception of maybe some of the Legado del Fantasma people. I don't think they did anything, but most everybody who got flown to Saudi got used in some way. The best thing about this tag team title match, however, was the introduction of Bianca and Jade's new finish, which is a DDT into a wheelbarrow German suplex. And it was great. What a great finish for these two. I like it. I've been calling them the Twin Towers, and they've been killing it. Jade has actually been a revelation. Like, she's been so much better. I think she's feeling a little bit more confident. The partnership, I think, is really helping Jade. You know, she's got that learning curve there, and the partnership is really helping her feel confident and, you know, ingratiating her to the audience. So it's actually helping a lot. Jade not going through NXT had a certain level of a bullseye on her back, especially from the AEW fans who are like, well, it took her forever to get into the rotation. And now she's in the tag team title picture, but she doesn't actually make it to the finals of the Queen of the Ring, and she's on the pre-show. But when you look at how well they're treating Bianca as the babyface in peril of these two, and they're giving Jade a lot of the hot tags, she's really getting over. She's getting over big, you know. And then even though Jade didn't get to the finals, they protected her. They pinned Bianca, but they didn't even pin Jade. Jade got disqualified, even though it was kind of a crappy disqualification. They did that sort of to protect her. So they've been doing a good job with Jade, I think. She's coming along. Introducing her as a babyface is interesting. Now, we know what Triple H is going to do. Eventually, they're going to turn on each other. And that's going to be the introduction of Jade as a heel. So, introducing Jade as a babyface is a tough road. But they're doing a good job of it. And I really love the tag team of Bianca and Jade. They're doing great. The first match on the main show, Liv Morgan wins the women's world title over Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch came out dressed in like a tuxedo or something. Like she looked like Mr. Peanut. Like, why is she dressed like this? I don't know. Liv Morgan is in the traditional bodysuit for Saudi Arabia. The match was longer than it probably needed to be. It was probably a little on the side of too long. This is probably one of Liv Morgan's better matches. Liv typically is not great, but she does have good matches with Becky. And I think Becky does a really good job of working with her. And everything was fine until Dominic Mysterio showed up. So the storyline is that Dominic was trying to help Becky. He threw the chair in the ring to help Becky. He took the referee's attention to help Becky. But then Liv Morgan DDT Becky Lynch on the chair, hit Oblivion, and won the match. So they're telling the story that Dominic screwed everything up. And he's the one who cost Becky Lynch the title. And now Liv Morgan's revenge tour is over because she injured Rhea Ripley and now she won the title. She's the champion. Becky Lynch threw a fit later, said that she had a rematch clause and she will be cashing that in on Monday. So she wants her rematch for the title on Monday on Raw. Liv Morgan as the champion, I thought it would never happen because Triple H clearly doesn't give a shit about Liv Morgan. But he's been telling this story between Liv and Dominic for a while now. There's been a lot of subtle stuff here and there with the two of them talking in like off screen, and the two of them being in the background doing stuff with each other. So they're telling the story, slowly but surely, that Liv Morgan is pulling some strings with Dominic. And Dominic flying all the way to Saudi Arabia just to try to screw Liv Morgan is very strange, right? Very strange. So they're going to reveal that Dominic is with Liv eventually, which is probably going to end up being Rhea Ripley's babyface turn because it seems like that's the direction they're going in anyway, is they want Rhea to be a babyface. And I would imagine since Liv has the belt now, she's probably going to have probably 1 or 2 title defenses before Rhea returns, probably in time for either Glasgow or SummerSlam. I would imagine it'd probably be around SummerSlam when Rhea makes her return in the title match. And that's probably when they will reveal that Dominic and Liv Morgan are working together to screw over Rhea Ripley. Now, Becky Lynch, a lot of this discussion about Becky Lynch losing the title has been that she hasn't signed her new contract yet, and that her contract is about to expire, and maybe they're just going to have her work it out. And especially since she's getting a rematch on Raw and not likely to win that match either. And people are like, well, she's done. She's going, Rebecca Quinn. She's going to be Becky Quinn in AEW. It's like, didn't they get their hopes up about this Drew McIntyre thing? And they got their hopes up about Finn Balor. And I wish they would stop doing that. Look, if Becky decides to leave, then she decides to leave. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know what's going on in her mind. I would imagine she probably might take some time off and make a comeback. She doesn't need to be on the road that often anymore. She was going to take a vacation anyway. But I don't think she's going to jump ship to AEW. I just don't see that happening. It would be important for AEW to spend whatever bread they got on Becky Lynch if they can get her to come in. But also having such incredible investments in the women's division, like, with Mercedes, questionable, like what the return on investment is when it comes to investing in that women's division. But Becky Lynch is a woman in her mid to late 30s. She's a superstar, no doubt. She's worth money. She's worth something. If you're a WWE, you should want to keep her because she is like one of the trailblazers. You want to keep as many of your stars in the stable as much as possible. But if she was to jump ship, she'd just be like female Edge, and it'd be interesting for about a month or two, and then people will be questioning the booking and how everything is breaking down and all that kind of stuff. But her being a free agent just in time for Wembley would throw everything into turmoil for AEW, because how would she fit on the card? You would definitely have to bring her in if she's a free agent, and you would definitely have to put her somewhere on the card. Like, do you have her wrestle Toni Storm? Do you have her wrestle Mercedes, who I'm assuming is going to be the TBS champion at the time? That would be an interesting conversation. But I don't think it's a conversation that we need to have, because I believe Becky Lynch is going to end up re-signing her a contract. Just like Drew McIntyre, they're going to wait down to the wire. Then they're going to give her pretty much whatever she wants, and she'll be sticking around for a while. But she definitely needs to go away for a while. Like we've had a lot of Becky Lynch over the last couple of months, with her being squeezed into the title match at WrestleMania, and then ultimately getting the championship after she was supposed to be gone for a while. We found out that Rhea Ripley is injured, and now we have to put the belt on Becky. So we've got a bit much of Becky. She needs to go away. Maybe they need to not do the rematch on Raw, and maybe have somebody take her out and do something else. But Liv Morgan as the champion is going to be an interesting thing, because I have no idea who they're going to have her wrestle. I just don't have any idea what the plan is. But the plan is basically story. They're probably going to throw some people in there for her to beat up, but that's going to be an interesting angle, because she's tiny. Just like Io is tiny, just like Alexa Bliss is tiny. Liv Morgan is very small. So who is she going to wrestle and be believably able to beat on her own? Unless you're going to put Dominic with her almost immediately, in which case he could do a lot of the damage. So that's just kind of how it goes. All right, next. Intercontinental Championship match. Sami Zayn defeats Bronson Reed and Chad Gable. Didn't care about this at all. The crowd was extremely excited. They were very, very into this because of Sami Zayn being Muslim. And they love Sami Zayn. Even, I think, commentary, even Michael Cole may have slipped up and even said that it's a hometown crowd here and there. But the story was basically Chad Gable and Otis. You know, when Chad Gable's entrance, he sent away Maxine Dupree, brought Otis with him. You know, told Otis that, you know, they had a plan, he had to stick to the plan. And the plan was for him to basically hit Sami Zayn when Chad Gable said so. But Otis is being, he was being hesitant. He wouldn't do it. So eventually Chad Gable got frustrated, berated him, slapped him. And then he held Otis. He had Sami Zayn for Otis to hit. And Sami Zayn ducked and Otis clotheslined Chad Gable. And that led to Sami Zayn getting in the ring, hitting the haluva kick on Bronson Reed and pinning him. Bronson Reed is useless. I mean, just absolutely useless, bro. He had flown all the way to Saudi Arabia just to do a job. He could have did that in the United States. It's ridiculous. I don't know what he's brought back for. Like, when you look at a lot of the people that Triple H bothered to re-sign, him and like Mia Yim are like the bottom, like, why? Like, what did you even bring these people in here for? You know, like, what is their purpose in this company? So they continue in the Chad Gable storyline. It's apparently over now because this is the second championship match that Chad Gable lost. Clearly, they're going to try to use the fact that he beat Sami Zayn on Raw as an excuse for him to get another shot. I'm not sure I even care to see another match between Sami Zayn and Chad Gable, unless they gimmick it up in some way, you know, best 2 out of 3 falls or something. Chad Gable is now the beneficiary of the "You Suck" chants. And I think they started it on Raw. I'm not sure, but they were certainly doing it here in Saudi. And let me tell you, with all honesty, I don't like it. And I'm going to tell you why I don't like it. I don't like ripoffs. You should not try to be a ripoff. When you see something like this, look, if you're second place is never good. You know, I know that people are like, oh, he's like the new Kurt Angle. It's like, but you're calling him the new Kurt Angle. You're not calling him like the first Chad Gable. And that's really what makes people superstars. Is nobody wants to say like, oh, they're trying to recreate the Kurt Angle thing. It's like, no, they should be trying to make Chad Gable, not trying to remold Kurt Angle for a new generation. He's never going to be Kurt Angle, but he can be Chad Gable all day. And that's what we should be trying to focus on, not trying to find ways to make him just like Kurt Angle. I hate that. And it's going to suck for Chad Gable. I mean, it may work out fine because, you know, he's going to be over and making money and all that, but whatever. You know, it's just kind of goofy, you know, as far as I'm concerned. I don't like the idea that this guy is going to just be the second coming of such as somebody who is still alive, by the way. And then somebody who just retired like 6 or 7 years ago. So it's not even, you know, somebody who's dead and been dead for 30 years or something. It's much like LA Knight. Like LA Knight became almost irrelevant when The Rock showed back up. because a lot of what The Rock would do is what LA Knight does. And when you're a knockoff to a degree, and look, I'm not trying to disrespect LA Knight. It's just, it is what it is. He steals a lot of The Rock shtick. Then what people do is they see you as a knockoff. And when they have the original there, why deal with the knockoff when you can have the original? I just don't get it. All right, Nia Jax wins the Queen of the Ring, defeating Lyra Valkyria. Sensible finish, really good finish. Lyra is even smaller than Bianca, and she tried to do the Sunset Powerbomb, only for Nia Jax to counter it and absolutely destroy her with the Annihilator. Nia Jax wins the match clean. Not a bad entrance from Lyra Valkyria, not a terrible performance by Lyra Valkyria, but it was pretty clear that once Nia Jax beat Bianca Belair clean, that they were going with Nia Jax as Queen of the Ring. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had her go through Jade and Bianca. Now, initially, I believed that Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch would be the move, mainly because that's the story they've been telling on SmackDown, but the two of them being allies or whatever. Again, it became clear to me that when Nia Jax beat Bianca Belair, she was not going to lose this match to Lyra Valkyria. They literally wouldn't have made any sense. But what kind of threw me for a loop, made me roll my eyes, is after Nia Jax wins the Queen of the Ring, she's in the ring with Triple H weeping. And they're hugging, and she is weeping. And it reminded me so much of what made Mercedes unbearable. It was some NXT show. It wasn't Brooklyn. I think it was the last match. I think she was about to get called up. And Triple H and all these people came out here with flowers, and they gave her this really big hug, and she got flowers, and Bayley got flowers. And I was like, wait a minute. She is a heel. Why are you celebrating her? It's the same thing here. It's like Nia Jax is one of the biggest heels on the roster. And she's in the ring openly weeping, getting the biggest, most loving, most fulfilling hug. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? Why are you doing this? Like, but it was what it was. The coronation didn't mean much of anything. She just said she was going to be the world champion, so it didn't matter much. So Nia Jax won. Some people are not happy about that. I'm thinking, hey, it's fine. Nia Jax has been better upon her return. I think she's been more focused in terms of her work. I think her time away helped quite a bit. She's coming across kind of like Jinder Mahal, when Jinder Mahal was fired before and he left and he changed and he got better in some ways, and he came back and was rejuvenated and a little bit different. Nia Jax, it took a while to get her back into the rotation. She was brought back. She did nothing. Then she was used basically to put people over. Like, she was doing clean jobs for people not long ago. Then she worked the main event Elimination Chamber and lost to Rhea Ripley. She didn't even make WrestleMania. At least I don't remember her making WrestleMania. Then she got into this, the tournament. And the tournament helped tremendously because she got a big win over Bianca, even though, the whole thing with Jade was pretty much handed to her by disqualification. So Nia Jax back in the rotation is obviously going to be Nia Jax versus Bayley, which I don't know how that's going to work. Both of these girls have been around for a long time. I don't remember when the last time Bayley had a match with Nia Jax, but Bayley wrestled on SmackDown. She wrestled Chelsea Green and won the match clean. So that was about it. After the match, she got beat up by Piper Niven. So they're going to tell this story about Bayley wrestling opponents that are much bigger than she is. So they're going to have Piper Niven be little Nia Jax and pretty much do all of Nia Jax's stuff just to show that Bayley is going to be prepared for it. Which is, like I just was talking about with Chad Gable, is like if Nia Jax and Piper Niven are pretty much the same character, then that doesn't do Piper Niven any good because you already have Nia Jax. She's already been around. She's already there, and she's still there. And now you're pushing her. So what good is it for Piper to just come in and be, some kind of a crash dummy for Bayley's matches against Nia Jax? But that's what they're planning to do, apparently. So, I mean, it is what it is. Bayley has been not getting the respect that she deserves. A lot of people have been saying that she's not very good. Vince Russo has come on record and said that she's not a good promo. And I think a lot of that is recent. Bayley was a good promo a couple of years ago. During the pandemic, she was really good. When they was forcing her to play a character, she was good. I think since Triple H took over, a lot of the pressure has diminished. Like, a lot of the pressure has been gone. And you've seen that with some people, when there is no pressure, they just go back to chilling. And, Mercedes is in that mode right now in AEW. Like, there's nobody telling her you can do better than this. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, anything is good enough. And now with Bayley, it's the same thing. Like, anything is good enough. I like you as a person. I like you as a performer. We're just going to roll with whatever you do. But there's so much more to Bayley. And I think for the last year or two, we've just been seeing Bayley become more and more bland. And now she's really blandly babyface. The same thing with Sami Zayn too. Like, it's just a really bland babyface. And I if it wasn't Bayley, I could see people actually turning on her. But it's Bayley and everybody loves and respects Bayley, so they'll probably let it run for a little while. But for my money, I say put the belt on Nia. We don't need Bayley as champion right now. Anyway, her story is over. The whole thing with Damage Control is done. It's time to move on. Just go with Nia Jax winning the title. Light a fire under Bayley, because it's not really working out. And Triple H is not the kind of guy who's going to do that. Apparently, he's just going to let Bayley coast. And she has been coast. She hasn't done anything since she won the title. She's not in a feud. She hasn't cut a really great promo at all. She hasn't had a great match at all. She's just been there, just present. And people are wondering why she doesn't show up on like marketing materials. It's like, well, what are you going to market? Just her face? Like, I love me some Auntie Pam. Everybody knows that. But she hasn't been killing it lately. She's just been okay. And she could do better than that. I know she's getting a little bit older, but she can do better than that. Certainly. Randy Orton defeated Tama Tonga on SmackDown. They did a humorous spot here where Paul Heyman is with Solo Sikoa, and he's talking about how Tonga Loa couldn't get into Saudi because of background checks. So they ran a background check on Tonga Loa, and he couldn't get into the country of Saudi Arabia. But Tama Tonga can, because apparently he's less lethal. He's less street lethal than Tonga Loa. And Paul Heyman is extremely whiny at this point. There's a reason, sir, why we didn't bring these people in earlier. And Solo's like, I don't want to hear that. Like, these are your problems, Paul. Solo, who is, I have no idea why he's dressing like he's a conductor of an orchestra. But he just decided he's going to dress like a soprano all of a sudden. So here he is. Tama Tonga was, promoted as being very dangerous. He's a dangerous man. But he loses to an RKO, just like everybody else. I like this match between Randy Orton and Tama Tonga. I thought it was pretty good. Wasn't the best match Randy Orton has ever had. Wasn't the best match Tama Tonga has ever had. But I still think it was extremely solid. And I had no problems with it. After the match, Randy is jumped by the Bloodline, and Kevin Owens comes out there to make the save. Kevin Owens makes the big return. I can't stand Kevin Owens. Everybody knows this. I take a cheese grater to the forehead of Kevin Owens. But this leads to GUNTHER becoming King of the Ring, defeating Randy Orton in the King of the Ring finals. Even though any Stevie Wonder could see that Randy Orton's shoulder was up. They didn't want to expose the business anymore, so when they showed the replay, they cut the camera angle to the other side. So you couldn't see that Randy Orton's shoulder was up on the pin counter, which was a really weird finish as it stands anyway. Like, that was just a weird way to win a match. Randy couldn't put his foot down to plant the leg to pin. So Gunther kicked out, rolled him up, in a crucifix. But Randy's shoulder wasn't down. Now, there's no point. I mean, referee's decision is final. There's no point in complaining about it. Just they botched the finish, and it was clear. This match, honestly, it was good, but I thought the pacing was entirely too slow. I really got taken out of the match when Randy Orton's entrance felt like it was 15 minutes. Like, that entrance was so long. I was like, what is going on? Like, literally, why is it taking so long to get him in the ring? And then from there, the crowd was hot, but they were working very, very slow. And that's clearly Randy Orton's pace. That's what he wants to do. And Gunther probably doesn't mind it because, he's not a mile a minute kind of guy anyway. But I thought the pace was just a little too slow for this. But otherwise, I think the match was good. They told the same story in this match that they told with Bianca Belair and her match with Nia Jax, is that a lot of it is Orton's knee can't handle it. He tweaked his knee when he went for the power slam, tweaked his knee when he went for the pin, tweaked his knee when he did this or that. And eventually that was the reason why he loses. It's because, he couldn't put any more pressure on his knee. Gunther didn't do a hell of a lot, but he did enough to keep the match moving. He was the one who was quickening the pace. Was really lit Randy up with the chops. It was really decent stuff. But I think if it was Randy Orton 5 years ago, this match would have been a classic. But now it just was good. And I think part of it also was the fact that there was no story for it. And so it felt like they're going through the motions. So the story, I guess, is that Randy had a bad knee because Tama Tonga and Bloodline jumped him and all that. But as usual with quote-unquote knee injury storylines and matches, it's not consistent. Where, hey, he could pick him up to dump him on an announce desk, but when it comes to do a pin, he can't put any pressure on his leg. How bizarre. But Gunther winning is the right choice. Clearly, they're going to go with Gunther versus Drew McIntyre for SummerSlam. I can't imagine they have Drew McIntyre. Well, they announced that Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest is going to be the World Championship match at Glasgow, Clash at the Castle. And that was announced due to Damian Priest had already agreed to wrestle Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre is now medically cleared, so they're going to go with that. My only other guess would be that CM Punk would cost Drew McIntyre the title there, and it would do Drew McIntyre and Punk at SummerSlam. If Punk can go, which I'd imagine he would be able to go by SummerSlam. So that would mean it would be Damian Priest and Gunther at SummerSlam, which almost guarantees that Gunther is going to win the title. It would be so much better if he was winning the title from a hot babyface than from a middling. Is he a babyface? Is he a heel? I'm not so sure. Maybe they'll pull the trigger and turn Damian Priest full babyface by then. But as it sits right now, I don't even see how he's going to be a super over hot babyface in 3 weeks when he wrestles Drew McIntyre. And then let alone, I don't know how many weeks before we get to SummerSlam, and he's going to be over enough to drop the belt to Gunther. Because I definitely think Gunther wins the title at SummerSlam. It's the right progression of his career for him to win the title and have a long run with it. But Damian Priest is going to get shit all over because, my God, he has had almost nothing to work with. For weeks, he's Male Bailey, He's running around with his eyeliner and his straps and everything. Pause. And everything is weird. And nothing is major. Nothing is all that important. And he's cooling off. And that was the problem with everybody. Everybody's cooling off in WWE. They're not keeping people hot. And that's their own fault because of the way they're booking stuff. But Gunther winning the King of the Ring was absolutely the right thing to do. Gunther should have won the match in a different way. Once they saw that the crucifix was botched, he could have did something else, and Gunther should have won clean. And but Gunther winning clean was fine. Gunther is the right person to win. Randy didn't need it. You don't need Randy to win the King of the Ring to wrestle Cody Rhodes. You could do that in a real meaty story that you could tell with the both of them. So there's that. Gunther winning, right decision. Main event time. Cody Rhodes defeats Logan Paul. Logan Paul and Cody did a long segment on SmackDown where they basically said a lot of the same stuff that they said before. Logan Paul was talking about breaking barriers and people underestimating him, and people think that he's just a YouTuber and all this kind of stuff. And Cody Rhodes is like, no, you got to have respect for this business. You don't respect anybody. You don't respect anything. And then it was Logan Paul's lies about not wanting to cheat. He had given his brass knuckles away. But then he was wearing his brother's pants, and his brother just happened to have some brass knuckles in his pocket. And then in this match, it was, he's not going to use the brass knuckles. He promises he's not going to use the brass knuckles. Only for him to get the brass knuckles from a stooge outside the ring. I did really enjoy his confrontation with Michael Cole. When Michael Cole yelled at him that he's a loser and an idiot and all this kind of stuff. And he's going to come around the desk to get in Michael Cole's face. And Corey Graves had to hold him back. I like that. It also made psychological sense because once he punched Cody Rhodes in the rib cage with the brass knuckles, it gave Cody time to sell it, but it also gave Cody time to recuperate so he could attack him afterwards. And that's exactly what happened. So that was good from a psychological standpoint. They tried to do a spot on the table and Cody countered it into the Cody cutter on the table. The table didn't break though. So I thought that was still really a cool spot. Another Cody cutter, the buckshot lariat. Logan Paul goes for it. Cody ducks it. It bounces off the ropes to a Cody cutter. I thought that was a great spot. Of course, the best spot of the match, however, is when Logan Paul knocks out Cody with the right hand punch, puts him on the announce desk, the Arabic announce desk, and then the camera goes all the way around as he's drinking Prime and spitting it out, and did a frog splash through the announce desk. It was phenomenal. Absolutely tremendous shot. The finish, Logan Paul once again gets the brass knuckles with the little Arab guy who apparently, I don't know, he was the ring announcer or something. He grabbed Logan Paul by the leg. Logan Paul kicked him away. Cody recuperated. He goes for the punch. Cody blocks it, gives him 3 crossroads pin. Cody wins. Not a lot more to be said. Great match. Really well worked by both guys. And Cody wins. So this was great. Where we go with Cody from here, that would be the question. Because Cody doesn't really have too many opponents. So I would imagine they had a vignette for Andrade. So maybe they go with Andrade next. Well, he's a babyface, I would imagine. So unless they want to do like Santos Escobar, maybe, I don't know. Like, I don't know who the heels are on SmackDown that you could put in the ring with Cody, and they're credible, and they're a credible threat to Cody. Maybe Solo Sikoa. I would imagine you don't want to pin Solo, so you don't want to have him wrestle Solo and have to beat him. But I would imagine that's the end game. At least the SummerSlam match is probably going to be Rhodes and Sikoa, right? It would have to be, because Solo's the top heel in the company at that point. Well, in the company means on SmackDown, right? So I don't know. And they've already beaten Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa is crimes against humanity, what he does in the ring. So Cody and Logan Paul worked really well together. They teased some stuff between Logan Paul and LA Knight before. LA Knight did some stuff on SmackDown when he got confronted by Waller and Theory. They talked about how he's a choke artist. He can't win the big one. He ended up beating them in a 6-man tag. Nobody cares about that shit at all. So maybe LA Knight's next for Logan Paul, but who's next for Cody? And Cody's the top guy. He's the top guy in the company. And I don't just mean he's probably the top guy in the business at this point. And he was feuding with The Rock, but now The Rock is gone. So now what? Solo Sikoa has to be the only other option you got there. So Cody and Solo at SummerSlam? But who is he going to wrestle in Glasgow? Or do we not have Cody defend the title at all in Glasgow? Maybe we just do that the World Heavyweight Championship, which would be Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, is going to be the championship match there. I don't know. So if they're going to use that to alternate the title picture, like, okay, well, Cody defended at Backlash and Cody defended here, so he's not going to defend at Clash of the Castle, but then, the world title would be on the line. I don't know, that would be interesting, but I think they're going to have somebody for Cody because he has to wrestle at that show. Especially if the tickets prices are as crazy as I'm hearing. He has to wrestle on that show. All right, overall, I think King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring was a good show. It was kind of dry. The pacing got really terrible a little bit late. No surprises once again, just straight up matches. But that's Triple H's MO. So, what do you guys think? Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.